So, for those of you that aren't aware of what OMC is, OMC is a contest that they hold every year internationally. Started by a guy named Cam, and I forget the name of the other gentleman. Which is and I'll just say OMC is an acronym for Original Mecha Contest, and the whole purpose of it is to for people of different skill levels and backgrounds to be able to, who like enjoy the hobby of giant robots or mecha, I guess you'd call them, and give them an opportunity to build their own. Basically, sky's the limit. You can scratch building is highly encouraged. You can do what I did, which is a little ridiculous, but basically make everything from scratch almost entirely, or kit bashing. And they even allow, to some degree, a little bit of 3D printing, although I forget what the percentage is. It's very low. So I kind of wanted to go over this a little bit because I really never had an opportunity. They just recently released the images for all of the contestants. There were 49 in total across 3 divisions, which was the junior division, the main division, and the pro division. And my understanding is that if you won something in the pro division last year, or rather, if you won something in the main division last year, then you had to enter pro. I entered main this year. I've never entered before. I found out about the contest kind of late in the game, probably sometime in June, July. I want to say July, August, around July. And I kind of, I was immediately intrigued. I thought, man, this is really cool. I want to be part of this. But I really underestimated the amount of time I would have. I had a bunch of projects going on, and I put a lot of stuff on the back burner to kind of play around with this. And then I had a lot of stuff come up at work and in my personal life. I don't do this for a living, so there's other things that happen. And so I just kind of ran out of time. And at one point I was even convinced I was just going to drop out of the contest. But I went ahead and I completed it. Pardon me. Still sick. And this is it. This is what I came up with. This is my model. But I haven't really ever gone into, and I kind of feel like even in the contest, I really kind of sold it short, because the contest, when you enter it, you have a 1-minute video entry. And you get to enter 4 images of it in progress with the competition's entry pass in the background. And then you enter 6 finished images of the robot. And I mean, it doesn't do it justice. I say that because this thing, it moves. I mean, not moves. It's not, obviously it's animated, but it's posable. Those of you who've been watching are probably already aware of that. But it's a pretty posable robot. Hey, what's going on? What's up, Keegan? And the original design it's actually pretty close to what I originally came up with. I'll just show you that real quick, if I still have it in here. Probably somewhere. I think there was one. I think this is one of the very first sketches I made of this robot. Like the very first ones that I kind of came up with. This is what I want it to look like, or visualizing kind of what I wanted to do with it. And then eventually, that kind of evolved a bit into some other stuff. And I forget where that other last sketch is, the one that's probably the most prominent one that I base this off of. But, you know, I've got it on my website, on Instagram, and everywhere else. You can probably find it there. But I wanted to go over some of the features. So this thing is fully posable, like I said. It has, you might have noticed, some roller blade feet, but those are not permanent. So you also notice it's got some little armor plates in a couple of places, the shoulder pads, the helmet, these little side skirts. These are all magnetic. In fact, there are tons of this robot that is actually magnetic. There's magnets hidden all over the place. And there's a lot of metal in here too. So let's look at this. These are magnetic, and they can attach pretty much anywhere that there's a magnet. So there's one. So there's your shoulder pads. The engines, or these little cooling rods, or whatever you want to call them, these are magnetic. So those actually stick to stuff also. You can put those pretty much anywhere. And then the helmet itself is magnetic. So that whole piece is magnetic. And then the head isn't, but it's got magnets in it. So this is not magnetically attached, but it has magnets built into where things can, you know, stick to it. The other thing you don't really see in the pictures, unfortunately, is there's a lot of other little details in here. So I did add a bunch of decals. None of these are plastic plates or borrowed from other figures. All of this stuff is sculpted on. These are all sort of separate pieces. And when I was putting it together and kind of getting an idea for how I wanted to paint it, I kind of had this idea. I wanted a sort of a zigzag pattern to kind of show off its curves, so to speak. But I wanted it to be really dynamic. It was supposed to be a racing mecha. So I wanted it to be slender and pretty sleek. Yeah, thanks. So it's got a lot of unique bits. You might notice these little rods here. These are actually steel. They're not plastic. They're not cords. There's another one that goes down through the spine, and it does bend pretty well. This robot does yoga. The legs also bend really, really well, as do the arms. So yeah, not a lot of robots that can do that. And I do have metal shocks in there on aluminum tubes built into these legs. These pieces here were all hand sculpted. This piece here was all hand sculpted. Pretty much every piece you're looking at was hand sculpted, and unless it looks like it was manufactured by, you know, somebody who makes rods and tubes. I pretty much sculpted it. Now I did have a lot of problems with the posability, and I'll tell you what happened there. Obviously, I've solved that problem, and the big issue I had early on was I was going to make this a BJD. That was, I don't know, this is not a scratch, just to kind of give somebody an idea what that is. That's a little tiny skull on an arrow. Yeah, we'll call that a tattoo. So what happened was this figure was supposed, it's entirely hollow. All these pieces are hollowed out. They were originally supposed to be filled with elastic cord, and the elastic cord was going to run through sections of the torso and the lower portion of the legs and the waist, and all the way through to the feet, and then also through the arms, which were hollow at the time. They're sort of in the hollow range now, but not really. But that wasn't working out. That just wasn't gonna. I couldn't get the elastic tight enough. The shape I was building just wasn't robotic enough. There was a lot of stuff that I just wasn't liking about it. So I wasn't really happy with it. There's the front. There we go. So I wasn't thrilled about how that was turning out. My alternative was to go with tight metal springs, and I had a whole box of steel springs. And if you've seen any of my videos leading up to this, or any of my Twitch streams, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, none of that stuff worked. It was just a total disaster, and I was really going to quit. And if you look at some of the early sketches, these little gals here, they didn't exist. That was sculpted on later, and the torso section was much longer. It actually extended down to here, and there was another 2 sections that this had in between. And so I ended up chopping that up, basically slicing it into pieces, and resculpting everything. I essentially started from scratch. I salvaged what I could, and I looked on ModiBot's website, and let me tell you, if it were not for ModiBot, this will not be possible. It would just not physically be possible, because I was desperate. I had nothing to attach this with and create joints with. I was at the point where I was gonna literally just scratch build a bunch of hinge joints, which I was okay with. That was sort of my plan C, but I just didn't have enough time, and I just knew. I mean, I didn't have time to one, make them, and 2, experiment with the ones I was going to be able to use. And I remembered ModiBot, and I'd been wanting to use them. Just to buy some toys from there. I needed an excuse to buy some, basically. But I remembered, they weren't super expensive. And I was like, let me see how much time I've got. Maybe I can get a few pieces in time for the contest deadline. I contacted, I didn't contact them directly. I went on their website and I made a purchase of some parts. And what I bought was some odds and ends. I bought a ModiBot kit, a robot, and then I bought some extra limbs and connections. And then what really I ended up, I can put ModiBot's link up, and also the contest link up. If you want to look at this robot and all of the other entries, which are now posted on the website, you can go to original Mecha contest on Google, and it will take you directly to that website. I highly recommend you look at it. There were 49 entries. They're all really fabulous. Not all of them are scratch built like this, and when I say scratch built, I mean not all of them are hand sculpted. Probably the majority of them are kit bashes. Which is fine. I mean, I love kit bashes. I'm just saying they're not all going to be completely built from scratch. There are some that are, and that's not to deter from any of them. They're all amazing. I think everyone who contributed and participated in that contest did amazing work, and I'm very proud to be able to share my work with them. So really, if you get a chance, if you have any time tonight or tomorrow, whenever, go on the website before the contest is over. Take a look at all the different entrants. They're really amazing. They're not. I don't think they're organized in any way right now. In other words, you don't know who's in what division. So just take that into account. But they are really all just super fantastic and original works. So what I ended up getting from ModiBot was And if you, ModiBot is spelled MODI and then B as in boy, OT. You can Google that as well. When I'm done with this video and I post it back online, I'll post links for both of those as soon as I get an opportunity. So what I have is this joint here. And the way these ball joints work is you have a ball and a socket. It pops into place, and there's your joint. And that's what the majority of this is connected with. Even a lot of parts you can't see, but the majority of it is using these connections. And it's these connections that really saved my butt. But I did make a lot of modifications. I mean, a lot of modifications. So what you'll see in this thing is I made a lot of, I chopped some up and included some aluminum tubing. Some of them have been sculpted over. Some of them have been drilled, tapped. If you look really close, you'll see that there are these two hex bolts sticking out of their chest. That actually goes through a frame that's built inside this that keep everything sort of stable and in the right place so it didn't fall apart. There's also a lot of metal screws that go through here that hold these wheels on. So these rollerblade wheels. So this is kind of different. And here's some more decal work. If you start looking closer, you'll start to see a lot of little details like the decals that I put on here. And you can see part of the green. That one's got some of the paint rubbed off there. But yeah, probably should have used the black one there, but oh well. There's some more decals there. Some more here, underneath here. There's one there. A couple above the butt right here. There's another one. So there's all kinds of little decals all over this thing. I think there's one right above here where these engines go. Let me see if this will help. There we go. See that? And there's more on the shoulders in different spots. There's one there. There's another one here on the chest. I believe there's one there. And also on the armored plates, which attach with this magnets. There's magnets. There's a magnet there. And that's how this stays on. And there's another magnet right there. A little harder to see. It's kind of covered up in paint, but that's how that one stays on. One of the cool features of this thing isn't necessarily just the posability, it's the fact that the feet transform. So that's pretty straightforward. You can kind of see there's the foot right here, but it's really not super complicated. I didn't want to make it super complicated, but that was a feature I really wanted to include because it was what I had in the drawings. Pretty straightforward. Oops. But basically, if you do it right, which I didn't, you can do this without actually disconnecting anything. And then the other foot. And I sometimes have to tighten it a little bit, which I have a little hex wrench here for. So everything's kind of nice and snug. But yeah, that rotates around this way. And I painted this red because, and if you look closely, these are the brake pads for the wheels. So that's what those are. And then there's the feet. And you just prop them up. Oops. Without snapping the foot off. Usually a lot better at this, but a bit under the weather today. But there you go. And yes, it can stand on its own 2 feet. So, yeah. You just gotta put everything up the way you found it. Like everything else, it's kind of a balancing act. Got a lot of stuff in here. Why it's not staying up though. A little loosey-goosey today. There we go. So there's the feet. And then there's the head that popped off. But yeah, the little engines go on here. And then I wanted kind of this racing style helmet, and you'll notice I kind of also added the zigzag pattern to the top part of the helmet. And I tried to make this as smooth as I could because this is just a hand sculpted piece. So this is all solid. But yeah, the whole point of that was it's another one of those little bits that are all built to fit into each other. Let me put this one down for a second. Let me show you what the head is. So this is the head, which is more kind of a helmet style. So this is a side view, front view, and let's say this is the neck. That just pops right on like that. So yeah, that's how this kind of fits together. And that piece just kind of fits in there. And there you go. And I thought about giving it something like, you know, everybody wants to make a fighting robot or a battle robot. And I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to try to do something a little different and unique this time around. You know, make something like a racing robot. And that's why it's kind of real thin, real slender, real meaty thighs. The idea is that it can run on terrain with its feet, but on open flat surfaces, it reverts to the wheels. And then it's got these sort of skid plates for, you know, like on a motorcycle suit. So its hand would go kind of like this, and it would just use its skid plates to, you know, guide it around. There's other skid plates on the kneecap kind of area over here. That's what those are for. Yeah, pretty much. There it is. That's my robot that I have made. And you can get pretty close, and the finish holds up pretty well. There might be, I don't know if there's some scratches in a couple spots. Just to give you an idea, this is 11 inches tall, and it's pretty solid. And it fell from there down to there. And that's roughly a height of about 48 inches. So maybe even closer to almost 4.5 feet. So yeah, it took a tumble, and stuff was everywhere. My cabinet's made of metal. It actually hit the ground so hard that some pieces bounced up and stuck to the cabinet with their magnets. So I couldn't find them on the ground. I was like, where are they? And they were just like literally attached to the back of the cabinet. And that just happened to be when I was taking photos of the robot for the contest. You know, like awesome, awesome. I'm taking the robots to enter it into the contest. I'm taking the pictures, and I'm gonna drop this on the ground from almost 5 feet above the air onto a cement floor. And yeah, that's a good idea. But anyway, yeah. So not something you probably want to do, but it does, you know, give you some fun pose ideas. I don't know if you have some props or something around, you can get it to hold on to things and hang from things. I don't know if I can get it to hang from anything. Let me see here. Pretty sure I can. Let me check. Let's see. I can get it to do that, but let's see if we can get it to hang from something like this. I don't know. Maybe. My God. Just how posable is your robot? I don't know. It's super posable. But yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd show some of the stuff off that it can do. Unfortunately, none of that's going to play into the contest, I think, because they're just looking at stiff images. And she's heavy. She's got some weight. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can even get this to where it'll stay in place, but I'll try. Anyway, the grip on that hand is pretty good. So I had to make all those too. But, whoop, there goes her head. That's what I'm talking about. I'm a bit of a klutz. What can I say? Fortunately, epoxy sculpt is a really strong material. This just fell on the ground. Look at that. Took a little damage. Looks like it's mostly the paint. Oh well. So that gives you an idea of what I'm dealing with here. Oh, what a shame. Oh well, that's what I get. But that's repairable. I could probably fix that up and make it look like brand new. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see more of this robot soon, hopefully. With any luck, maybe I'll even place. You never know. But I just want to say thanks for watching, and you know, congratulations to all the other competitors out there that have made it to the end and entered their robots. And I wish you all the best of luck. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.